Hello, this is Binni here. Today I'll be covering the Hang Seng Index. Hang Seng Index has been moving really very well since the past 2 months, but right now it's correcting. I think the key question is whether you will enter another ICU stage, or this is just a correction and price is going to rally. Before we start off, let's go through some simple concept first. All right, what I always like to do is I like to define what is an uptrend. So if this is an uptrend, UT for example, it would be where you have a higher high as versus the previous high, so price actually move higher, and then there is a higher low versus the previous low. So this is the low point, this is the high point, and you can see that price make a higher high and price make a higher low. So what this means is that bulls are willing to buy higher, and bulls are also willing to buy higher at this low point here. Now when you have a downtrend, which is a DT, then it's given by price making a lower low and then price making a lower high. So this means that bears are having the power to sell lower than the previous round, and then when price move up, bulls doesn't have enough strength to buy it higher than the previous high. So this would be a lower high and then this would be a lower low. Why is this important for the Hang Seng Index analysis? Let's check it out. Okay, so let's start off with the monthly chart of the Hang Seng Index. What I did is to label into the highs and the lows. So focus on the capital letter here. So that's the capital letter and the capital letter, right? And if we have a comparison to each of the capital letter, then this is a high, okay, but this high is lower than the previous high, and this one is a low, and then this low is lower than the previous low. Hence, if you take a look at the highest price here, then generally, all right, on the bigger trend, then this high point here, it's still a lower high if we compare that to the previous high point here. So essentially, even when Hang Seng is moving up, okay, Hang Seng it's still in a downtrend on the long-term basis, unless that what happened, unless that price can close above this previous high point here, which would be around 30,000 and slightly above. So this is the high point that Hang Seng needs to close above in order to show that price trend has reversed upwards. So now, since we tackled the monthly chart, so let's move on to the weekly chart here. Okay, same thing. Let's focus on the capital letter, capital letter, capital letter, and then capital letter, and then capital letter here. Now what this means is that somewhere around here we have a higher high, and that's where price starts to reverse. And again, here is a capital letter, so we have a higher low as well, and here that's where we have a higher high. So on the midterm basis, starting from last year or the year before 2023, we are starting to see the reversal of Hang Seng, right? Where in the midterm, Hang Seng is showing a higher high and a higher low. So essentially, based on what I've covered just now, this is an uptrend. So based on this point here, then Hang Seng is also showing a higher high as versus the previous high. So yes, this is still part of the uptrend, and here is a higher low. So this is still part of the uptrend, and yes, Hang Seng on the medium term has already reversed to move higher to show an uptrend. Now on the price level, right, so this was the high point, and then this was also another high point, right? So what this means is that somewhere around here, price has already broken out of a zone of resistance. So these were the resistance that had been resisting Hang Seng Index around a price of 23,000, right? But as of start of this year, we've seen that Hang Seng had already broken above. That means that bulls are willing to buy higher than the levels that had been stopping Hang Seng in the past. So that seems to be a reversal in terms of trend. So that's also adding to the bullishness of Hang Seng. Okay, so we've done with the weekly time frame, and let's move on to the daily time frame. Okay, so this is what's happening right now. So there was a surge followed by what I call as a correction. And this time round, starting somewhere early 2025, there was a surge. Well, what is happening right now? So this is the stage where it is correcting. All right, so then the question would be how far it might move down. So as of the previous round, we've seen that the correction was near to the 60%. So this was that 60% where price reversed to moved up. Okay, so assuming that this time round, there are two levels that price might correct. One would be a 30%. So these would be the 30% correction level here. So that's the 30%, which Hang Seng is stopping right now at the 30%. Or the other level would be a 60%. So that's your 60% correction. Well, whatever it is, if Hang Seng is to correct to the 30%, which is right now happening, then you'll be supported by the previous high. But if it is to correct to the 60%, then it is still supported by the interim high. Whatever it is, if Hang Seng is to correct downwards, still, the uptrend remains as long as this low point here, which would be 18,689. Or to round it off, that means about 18,700 will be the support level for Hang Seng. And price shouldn't close below this level in order to maintain that midterm uptrend. Alright, hope that this update is useful to you. And if you are interested to do some short-term trading in Hang Seng, then without changing Sing dollar or without changing your currency in Hong Kong dollar, then you can buy instruments such as DLCs or warrants using Sing dollar. Okay, so I'm just going to put down the link here, some of the places that you might want to consider some short-term trading in Hang Seng Index. But again, do evaluate whether these short-term trading instruments such as warrants or DLCs, they are suitable for you. And remember to subscribe to my Telegram, because this is where I update a lot of price levels, a lot of setups that I'm looking at, including US stocks, the M7 especially, and as well as some of the Hong Kong stocks, Singapore Index, and then of course the Hang Seng Index and the Hang Seng Tech. All right, thank you. I'll see you in my next video.